Doing some reading today on the Negro in our history by Carter Godwin Wilson, 1875 to 1950. He lived, and this was publication date 1922. Okay, let's go to chapter 8, the free Negro. There were already free, quote unquote, Negroes living in America uh, during the first census, which was 1790. Um, let's go. While the fate of the slaves in the South was being determined, there was also a considerable number of free persons of color whose status was never changing. Few people now realize the extent to which the free Negro figured in the population of this country prior to the Civil War, before slavery uh, was reduced from a patri- uh, pa- patri- patriarchal establishment to the mere business of exploiting men. A considerable number of Negroes had secured their freedom. Up here in the corner it says status of the free Negro. Um, has secured the freedom and the fruits of the American Revolution, effective thereafter in ameliorating their condition, gave impetus to manumission. Small words, but I get it. In some colonies, Negroes were indentured servants before they were slaves and became free upon the expiration of their term of service. The result was that there were in this country in 1790 as many as 59,557,000 free people of color, 35,000 of whom were living in the South. During the 2 decades from 1790 to 1810, the rate increase of free Negroes exceeded that of the slaves, and the proportion of the free Negroes in the quote unquote black population increased accordingly from 7.9% in 1790 to 13.5% in 1810. And then when you go to the bottom, you can see it's books that you could also look up and stuff like that. This is where I get my uh, my information by reading, and then they have other books at the end of these pages you can read and research. This date, Tennessee was in the other direction because of the reaction against the Negro, bringing out about a restriction of manumission. Between 1810 and 1840, the Negro population almost doubled, but the proportion of the free Negroes remained about the same. Because of further restriction on manumission and the more secure foundation uh, of economic slavery with rigid regulations to prevent the fugitives from escaping, this proportion of free Negroes in the quote unquote black population decreased to 11.9% by 1850 and to 18% by 1860, while the Negro population as a whole doubled its percentage of increase than that of the free blacks declined. It became smaller in parts of the North and declined to one-fourth of the rate of increase between 1800 and 1810. In 1860, the rate of increase was about 1% a year. It is worthy of note, however, there were 454,000 free Negroes in the United States in 1850 and 488,070 in 1860. At this latter date, 943,000 of these were in Maryland, 42,000 in Virginia, 30,463 in North Carolina, 18,467 in Louisiana, 11,131 in the District of Columbia. Yup. That's what I tell people, whoever listening from the DMV. There were 3,185 enslaved Africans emancipated, but you also had 11,131 free Negroes living in D.C. at the same time, 10,638 in Kentucky. In short, 787,000 in the whole South. This increase of free Negroes was largely natural growth. There had been, of course, some additional purchases of freedom and the acquisition of the new territory. They did not immigrate into this country. For only 7,011 free Negroes enumerated in 1860 were born around increased natural growth. Some idea as to extent of the factors figured in this way may be obtained from the fact that 1,467 Negroes were manumitted in 1859. 1,011 became fugitives in 1859. So you gotta go to the numbers, man. 1859, 3,000 manumissions and the 803 fugitives. The census of 1860 reports that probably 20,000 manumissions were made during the decade between 1850 and 1860. Okay, so now we're gonna go down here, and there's the chart. Look at that. There's your chart. From 1790, total 1,757, 181,000, 1,757,181, 1790. The number of free, all the way to 1860, 488, 70,000 free Negroes. All of those, it says slave, and it says free. Yep, there were 3,950, 3,953,760 enslaved Africans in America in 1860, and there were 53,575 free. There it is. There's your chart. All right. I'm not going to too much read the rest, but this is the book called The Negro in Our History. Just want to put a little bit out there. Let's see. I might go grab something else real fast. The well-to-do Negro. Excuse me. Okay. I'll start right here. The well-to-do free Negroes were not merely persons with sufficient property to form an attachment to the community. Many of them owned slaves who cultivated their large estates. Of 360 persons of color, Charleston, 130 of them were in 1860 assessed with taxes on 390 slaves. Okay, let me read that again. Many of the free persons of color owned slaves. Okay, there's a book called free quote unquote blacks owners of slaves in the United States in 1830. So, got to get our facts right, learn our history and everything. So, if you want to know more, hit me up. I got it all. So, like